There is a level of discipline that looks like a mental illness to the untrained eye. It is a terrifying, quiet commitment. It isn't normal, it doesn't scream for attention, and it doesn't ask for permission. Most people operate on a sliding scale of convenience. They do what they feel like doing when the sun is out and the coffee is warm. That is not what this is. This is the path of the ghost. The path of the man who has decided that his previous self is dead. When you encounter someone like this, you feel a chill. You see it in their eyes, a frightening consistency that ignores the seasons, the pain, and the excuses of the world. They have moved beyond motivation. They have entered the realm of identity enforcement. This is the doctrine of Miyamoto Musashi, and it will dismantle every comfort you hold dear. This isn't for everyone. Most of you will turn this off in 5 minutes. For the rest, your old life ends today. Raphael wakes up at 6 a.m. He stares at the ceiling. The air is cold, and the room is silent. He remembers the promise he made at 11 p.m. the night before, the fire in his chest, the conviction that today would be the day he finally changed. But that was a different man. The man lying in bed now is a stranger to that fire. He hits snooze. Monday becomes Tuesday. Tuesday becomes a reset for next week. He buys the books. He watches the videos. He creates the spreadsheets. Every Sunday night he builds a cathedral of intentions, only to watch it crumble by Wednesday afternoon. It's the same cycle, the burst of inspiration, the 3 days of perfect execution, the one minor inconvenience, a late meeting, a rainy morning, a bad mood, and then the collapse. He tells himself he needs more motivation. He tells himself he needs a better environment. He looks in the mirror and sees a person who is constantly starting over, a professional beginner. He is exhausted by his own potential. Because it never manifests as reality, he feels like a fraud. He talks like a lion, but lives like a sheep. He watches his peers move ahead while he remains trapped in the same loop of almost. He thinks he is weak. He thinks he lacks willpower. But Raphael wasn't weak. He was fighting a war with a blunt sword. He wasn't failing a test of character. He was fighting something he didn't understand. The mistake Raphael made is the mistake of the modern world. He treated discipline as a feeling to be summoned, rather than an architecture to be inhabited. In the ancient schools of the sword, there was no trying. There was only the system. Musashi didn't wake up and ask his body if it felt like training. The training was the environment. It was the air he breathed. To change, you must move from a reversible commitment to an irreversible one. A reversible commitment is a New Year's resolution. It's a try. It's something you can back out of without losing your soul. An irreversible commitment is different. It is the ritual of the Zen monks who leave their home and stand at the temple gates in the snow. They do not ask to enter, they commit to staying until they are accepted or until they collapse. This is the shift from behavior to identity. You don't do the work, you are the work. In the old systems, your identity was witnessed. You made a public declaration, not to brag but to burn the ships. You told the tribe, the master and the gods who you were. To break the discipline was not a mistake, it was a social and spiritual death. It was the loss of the face. The secret is the removal of the choice. People think the disciplined man is constantly making good choices. This is a lie. The disciplined man makes one choice, once, and then he never chooses again. The decision is finished. It is recorded in the ledger of his life. Imagine a bell that rings at 4 in the morning. For centuries the monks did not debate the bell. They did not negotiate with the blankets. The bell is not an invitation, it is a law. They have already decided. When you operate under a system of identity, the self that wants to sleep in is seen as an intruder, an enemy combatant trying to breach the walls of your sanctuary. You must build a system where your identity is held hostage by your actions. You create a structure so rigid that failing to execute feels like a physical violation of who you are. You stop being a person who is trying to get fit, and you become a person who does not miss the weights. One is a wish, the other is a fact. They don't decide, they have already decided. Centuries of warriors lived by this, because they knew that in the moment of battle, the man who has to decide is already dead. Even with the system in place, the body is a traitor. Raphael soon realizes that identity does not instantly rewrite biology. His brain is a prehistoric machine designed for one thing, the preservation of energy. To his amygdala, a 5:00 a.m. run is not progress, it is a threat. It is a waste of precious calories. It is friction. The war is quiet. It doesn't happen on a battlefield. It happens in the 3 inches between his ears. It is the mental negotiation that starts the moment the alarm rings. A voice, smooth and persuasive, whispers, "You worked hard yesterday. You need the recovery." The cortisol levels will spike if you push too hard. Just 20 more minutes. This is the friction of the soul. It feels like moving through deep water. Every movement requires 10 times the effort it should. His limbs feel heavy, coated in the lead of resistance. This is where most people fail. They wait for the flow state. They wait for the friction to disappear. They wait for the fuel of motivation to kick in. But the fuel of the elite is not fire. It is cold, hard steel. You must understand that the resistance is the point. If there is no friction, there is no growth. If there is no internal heat, the blade is not being forged. Raphael begins to see his mental excuses not as his own thoughts, but as a biological noise, static on a radio. He stops arguing with the noise. He realizes that you cannot win a debate with your lower self because the lower self doesn't play fair. It will use logic, it will use health, it will use self-care as a weapon to keep you mediocre. He adopts a fixed, non-negotiable window. From 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., he is a ghost to his own desires. He does not own his mind during those hours. The system owns it. He moves through the house like a machine. No music, no caffeine, just the work. The resistance is still there, screaming at him to stop. But he has stopped listening. He wins a partial victory, not because the urge to quit is gone, but because the urge no longer has a vote. The world loves the lie of variety. It tells you that all roads lead to Rome and that you should find what works for you. This is the language of the weak. It is a backdoor for the ego to escape through when things get difficult. Miyamoto Musashi did not have 100 ways. He had the Dokudo, the path of aloneness. He had the one way. To achieve terrifying discipline, you must destroy the illusion of choice. You must eliminate the question, what should I do today? If you have to ask that question, you have already lost. The answer should be so monotonous, so repetitive, and so deeply etched into your schedule that it becomes a haunting rhythm. You wake up, you do the work, you eat the fuel. You train the body, you repeat. Raphael begins to notice a strange phenomenon. As his routine hardens, the people around him begin to react. At first they are supportive, then they are curious, finally they are concerned. You're becoming obsessed, they say. You're missing out on life, they warn. It's annoying how you can't just relax for one night. This is the social pressure element. The world wants you to be relatable. It wants you to be balanced. Because your imbalance is a mirror that reflects their own lack of direction. When you stop negotiating with yourself, you stop negotiating with others. You become a fixed point in a turning world. You become annoying. In this system, annoying is not a bug, it is a feature. It is the signal that you have successfully separated yourself from the herd. If you are still fun to be around on a Tuesday night at 11 p.m., you are likely failing your future self. You must adopt the dogmatic adherence to your one way. It is a rule book written in your own blood. Monday is the same as Friday. A birthday is the same as a workday. The weather is irrelevant. The economy is noise. There is no variety because variety is the breeding ground for excuses. You do the same things, in the same order, with the same intensity, until the action and the actor are indistinguishable. You don't do the routine. You are the physical manifestation of the routine. You have removed the what and the how, leaving only the is. The Japanese concept of Guji is the death of the all-or-nothing fallacy. Most people live in a state of stuttering momentum. They are either on or off. They are either grinding or recovering. But a river does not pause to find its motivation. It simply flows. If it stops, it becomes a stad. The grinding water is the lowest of 700. It means the discipline does not end when you leave the gym, or when you close your laptop, or when the sun goes down. It is a continuous thread. You do not take a break from your identity. Raphael begins to redefine his understanding of rest. Rest is no longer a retreat into hedonism or a collapse into mindless distraction. Rest is a strategic pause. It is the sharpening of the blade, not the putting away of the sword. If your rest makes it harder to start again the next day, it isn't rest, it's a relapse. Think of a fire. If you let it go out completely, the energy required to reignite the wood is immense. But if you keep a single coal glowing, the flame returns with a single breath. The gap is where the ghost of your old self lives. The gap is where doubt enters. The gap is where you start to think that maybe, just maybe, you've done enough. Musashi wrote that you must make your everyday stance your fighting stance. There is no work-life balance because your life is the work. Whether you are eating, sleeping, or walking, you are doing it with the posture of a man who is going to war. The moment the rhythm breaks, the discipline dies. You must eliminate the transition time between being and doing. There is no warm-up. There is no winding down. There is only the current. The moment it stops, it dies. The greatest threat to your discipline isn't a lack of character. It's decision fatigue. Every time you have to make a choice under pressure, you drain a finite battery of mental energy. The elite don't rely on willpower in the moment of crisis. They eliminate the moment of crisis entirely through pre-solutions. In the monastic traditions, every movement is choreographed. There is no debate about where the bowl goes or how the floor is swept. The answer is pre-installed. This is military-grade logic applied to the individual's soul. You must map out the if-then architecture of your life before the storm hits. Raphael stops leaving his success to chance. He anticipates the friction. He knows that on Thursday he will be tired. He knows that when he travels, the hotel gym will be inadequate. He knows that when he is stressed, he craves the numbing distraction of his phone. He builds a logic gate for his life. When X happens, I do Y. When the alarm rings and his brain says snooze, the pre-solution is feet on the floor before the second thought. When a client cancels a meeting and gives him a free hour, the pre-solution is deep work on project A, not check emails. When he feels the urge to quit a workout, the pre-solution is 5 more minutes of maximum intensity. By pre-deciding, you bypass the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that weighs options and feels pain, and move the behavior into the basal ganglia, the seat of automation. You are essentially turning your discipline into a reflex, like breathing or blinking. You must look at your day like a grandmaster looks at a chessboard. You see the traps 3 moves ahead. You don't wait to get hungry to decide what to eat. The meal is already prepped. You don't wait to get to the desk to decide what to write. The outline was finished yesterday. There is no discussion. The answer already exists. You have removed the burden of choice from your future self, who will be tired, hungry, and weak. You have acted as a benevolent dictator, setting laws that your future self must follow. This isn't just efficiency, it's mercy. By the time the stress of the day arrives, the hardest work, the deciding, has already been done for weeks. You are simply the executor of a flawless plan. You are not a person trying to manage a life. You are a system running a program. Raphael no longer recognizes the man he was 6 months ago. The soft edges have been planed away. The stuttering momentum has become a silent, unstoppable roar. He has reached the stage of the unbroken, where the discipline is no longer a burden he carries but the very skeleton that holds him upright. He has undergone a death and a rebirth. The version of him that needed external validation, the version that needed motivation to function, has been starved into extinction. In its place is something mythic. He moves with a frightening economy of motion. He speaks less, but his presence is louder. He has reached the point where discomfort from others is his primary signal of success. When people look at his life and call it too intense or unnecessary, he smiles inwardly. Their pity is his proof. Their concern is the confirmation that he has successfully exited the cage of the average. He is no longer playing the same game as the rest of the world. He doesn't wake up and try to be disciplined. He simply is. The workouts, the deep work, the isolation, the relentless pursuit, these are not things he does to get a result. They are the physical expression of his soul. He has merged with the system. He has become the path. If you are ready to kill the person you used to be, you must make it official. Declare your new identity not in a whisper, but as a fact. The time for seeking advice is over. The time for trying is dead. He doesn't do it anymore. He is it. Comment below with your non-negotiable identity. No excuses, no explanations, just the law.